All right, guys, let's chat about the overhead press, the shoulder press, and our lower body mechanics and how we connect everything from the hip down to improve performance on an overhead lifting exercise such as the press. And this is one of those things that a lot of people overlook solely because they don't think about the lower body being connected to the upper body in this manner. But you have to understand everything in the weight room, or in just life, if you will. If we're talking about human movement, the body is connected through fascia, as well as we have a joint-to-joint connection that happens with muscular effort. So in every exercise that we teach here at Synergy, we're always talking about creating tension. And tension is done in multiple different manners. First one is learning proper breath control, which is another conversation that we'd have to have in a different video. And then the second one is muscular tension. So you can use a classic example of creating tension by just simply squeezing your fist. As you squeeze your fist, you obviously feel the tension around your wrist start to get a little bit higher, elbow, shoulder, up into the neck. All the musculature of the arm, the shoulder, the upper back, and the neck start to tighten up. That's called a radiation effect. And you want this when lifting because it creates better position for the joints while we're lifting, okay? Because you need to be lifting off of a solid foundation, or at least a solid joint position, a stable joint position. Now, most importantly, in my opinion, in the press, is that we create that foundation that I mentioned earlier. So usually when I'm pressing, I advise most people to press from a squat position, a squat width. Now, some people might have some modified positions or extremely wide positions for a squat. You may have to modify your stance a bit, but I don't like the narrow squat position. One, you don't have a solid foundation from a standpoint of width or just a base. So I like to have a wider stance with the toes turned out. And this will make sense in a second as to why the toes need to turn out, because they are going to be part of connecting into the hip and the glute, okay? It's very challenging with feet narrow to tighten up your glutes in the appropriate manner that creates stability in the pelvis and up into the lumbar spine. So a slightly wider position will allow you to do so. So we can carry on with our foot and we'll come up. So when we're connecting with the foot, we think about our tripod position, short foot, so lock the big toe down, and then I want you to think about squeezing your quads and your glutes as tight as you can. And the act of doing that with the wide stance, it will force the glutes into more of an externally rotated position. So you'll see the femur turn out, the foot and the arch of the foot with the short foot will also invert slightly. So we go into here. Now this position now locks up my lower body, and it allows for a much more stable pelvis and lumbar spine. So I don't have to worry about low back pain when pressing, all right? So then when I'm here, I'll have a natural lean back in the start of my press, but I'm safe because my glutes and my lumbar spine are protected with this solid foundation. And then from here, we can move through the appropriate pressing positions. But this never ever moves. But I want you guys to challenge you guys that when you're setting up the press, to think about corkscrewing yourself into the floor. And you do this with your glute activation and your quad activation, okay? So you can see that I'm trying to exaggerate it a little bit here for demonstration purposes in the video. But when you get into your press, you grab the bar, spread the bar apart, very similar to a bench press, then connect your feet to the floor, lock it down, and now you have that one solid foundation, which we discussed, but more importantly, that ground foot interaction, which then integrates and connects positional strength up chain. We've talked about this in other videos. The short foot connection, the big toe, the hallux, creates the start of the pressure that comes up the deep fascial front line. So which then connects into the pelvic floor and then also brings into your core. So because of that, you can have a stronger core along with in any movement, but you'll have a stronger core position, which then can be utilized for overhead pressing, along with a nice, tight, solid pelvic position, all right? So feet are incredibly important when setting up for the press. I hope that was useful. It's gonna be something that you guys have to practice, but you don't need to practice it only doing the press. You can simply come in the gym and just practice set up positions and feeling that increased tension, all right? I hope that was helpful, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.